Welcome. Ziggy1X here with another NieR reincarnation video, and I'm getting my Gulf of Mexico tan on right now with my 5 o'clock shadow. Looking real rugged. I'm actually taking a break from the beach for the moment to do this video because I haven't had a chance to do this video. And so it's a video that I've desperately wanted to do, and I'm very excited to do it. So no frills, no bells or whistles aside from what I had already put together from before, but let's talk about our girl Yuri. Now you can see here in this fight right now, I've got 2 3-star units. I've got the base Vanilla Jane 3-star that we were given out in the gacha. And then I've also got the 3-star Marie that we got from the limited event. These are both 3-star units. And you can see them right now in this fight working with our new summer Yuri. Now, the question that keeps getting asked, is Yuri good outside of arena? Well, yes, she's very good outside of arena. Actually, I will argue that she is the most impactful unit that we have gotten since that generation of healers that came with Yule Gayle. And so if I was to say that you were looking for a new unit that's going to stick with your account for a very long time, this is going to be one of them. Damage dealers, they have their different uses. I still think that one of the most flexible damage dealers in this game is our newest 2B costume that we've gotten, because she isn't element locked. And she's instead locked to the amount of HP that she has. She does more damage based off of the however much HP she has. So the more HP she has, the more damage she does. Bing, bong, bing. Okay, that's what makes 2B such a valuable damage dealer. And so flexible. I don't have a dedicated win DPS like I do with all of my other elements. But 2B is so flexible that she jumps into that role because I do not have New Year's Yuri. So let's talk about that sort of role that we're filling here, that niche. Let's jump away from this fight and go right on over to what this girl has to offer in her banner. So as you can see here, she has got high defense. This is in part a gushing video on Yuri, but it's also in part a review video on Yuri. So belated, but you knew it was gonna happen, guys. Don't lie to yourselves. All right, a lot of HP too. Decent attack. This is a very well-built unit. Now let's just jump over here to the debris. Indomitable. This is awesome. And if you are a whale, or if you've got the resources to go after this debris, this is a good one to have. Damage taken reduced by 20% 3 times at the start of a wave. This isn't at the start of battle, this is at the start of a wave. And so if you're doing one of your regular battles where there's 3 waves, guess what? Every time at the start of the wave, 20% less damage 3 times. Now there are those enemies that when you go into a wave, they hit you with that big attack right off the bat. This is mostly going to be happening in Fateboard and places like that. So this is something that can help you survive those big attacks. And the further we dive into Fateboard, the more chonky these enemies get. These things are doing some damage. And so this is an excellent debris, but it's probably, in my opinion, more useful in arena for not necessarily your tank, but sometimes for a unit that maybe you want to slap it on a damage dealer, because when the other team attacks you, you know they're going to be targeting that damage dealer, but then they've got this on here, they're taking 20% less damage, they survive the attacks. Now, there is such an ability called proficiency, and proficiency means that basically it's a guaranteed 3-hit chain on a regular attack. And so when that character, if they have enough agility built into them, they're going to jump out ahead of the pack, they're going to be guaranteed 3 hits. And if they can polish off a character in 3 hits, well, that's your loss. This Indomitable chunk can protect you against that. And there may or may not be a character coming next week that has proficiency. And so we will see that. But in the meantime, let's just focus on Yuri here. So what are the other things she's bringing to the table? Well, the big thing she's bringing to the table, let's start with this guy right here. Decreases all enemies' attack by 50%. That's what Celebratory Demos does. Excellent ability. All allies' defense up by 50%, also what Celebratory Demos does. So it's decreasing the incoming damage and increasing your team's toughness, and also reduces all enemies' crit rate by 20%. This is something like what Celebratory Udil is doing, and it stacks with what Celebratory Udil is doing. So if you have both her and Celebratory Udil in there, you're basically eliminating the other team's ability to crit you. You're you're reducing it, I think, by 70% between the two of them. It's ridiculous. So basically the other team is not critting you at that point. And only when your own affinity is water. So if she's using water, boom, that's what happens here. Now this is another interesting ability here. This is a passive. This is the first one, amazing HP. I'm sorry, I'm gushing right now, I'm so excited. Amazing HP, 30% for the whole team. That is bonkers. Determination, this is a new one. All allies damage taken reduced by 50% 5 times at the start of a wave. Wow. Guys, if you have not tried this in your own teams, you do not appreciate just how powerful this ability is. And I'm just going to say it right now. If you do not have this character, go get this character. Okay? Just go get her. She's worth it. She is worth it. Then the third ability. Now this is the one that's locked behind her Awakening 3. All allies defense up by 15% for 60 seconds. So this is this is a good ability, and it's good for her too because she can scale her damage off of defense. She's a very defense-oriented unit. All of her passives are bringing extra survivability to your team. It's a great ability to go for, but the best thing, aside from just how good this unit is, the best thing about this unit is that you can get one copy of her and you can be done at Awakening 0. I have my Yuri personally here at Awakening 0, and you are watching what she is doing just by herself in some of these fights. So let's dive out of this and let's jump over to some arena teams and see what that looks like, because my gosh, people, this is good stuff. Okay, so let's take a look at this first match here real quickly. So you can see here, I'm top 20-ish, essentially, and you can see what we're doing here. Let's dive in and take a look at our team, okay? So you can see I'm using 2 3-star units. This is basically a team that I've been doing excellent work in top 20 arena this whole time. And I've actually set it up as a defense team too, so you guys will probably run into it. But you've got my boy here, Udeel. He's chonky. He's got a lot of damage. He's got Pursuit coming out. He's using the EX Udeel weapon, which is incredibly powerful on that ability too. And you've seen me post some things on social media probably of Udeel doing over 700,000 damage per hit to a summer Yuri. In top 10, okay? Busted damage. You've got 2B here built for damage, pure damage, and the reason why I'm using 3-star 2B is because she has an ability in her character skill which is immediately active. You can launch it as whenever you want. I suggest manualing with her though, because you don't want her to eat up your time while you're trying to get your abilities cooled down and allowing for the other team to do their abilities. But she basically just enables you to do more damage. And then of course you've got Yuri in there being a boss. So let's look at how these fights go. And we've got this first one here. I'm going to do a little bit of commentary and then I'm going to let some of these things run. This is a pretty meta team right here. You've got Yule Gayle, you've got Summer Yuri, and you've got Celeb Udeel. Excellent team. Very tanky team. What am I doing? I'm allowing the heal to wear off. I'm letting my abilities charge up, and then I'm just going to blow them up. Watch how much damage 2B does here to Udeel. Watch this, guys. Ooh. Guys, that is busted. And then Yuri's gonna chomp away at the rest of them. Udeel's gonna come in for the finishing swing. Here we go. Ooh. Now it's not the 700,000 damage that I saw in one of the other ones, but that is a lot of damage to a Yuri. Okay? So this is the kind of power we're talking about, this girl. What does she do for your team? This is the question. I'm going to let a few more of these fights run in the background. What is she doing for your team? Again, she is making your team so much tougher. Why is that useful? Because for a very long time, and this is going to be something that's going to come up probably more with returning players who played the game at launch, maybe coming back to check it out again because there's been so many changes that have happened. What is happening that she's bringing to the table that you didn't need before but you need now? Well, Challenges have increasingly become more difficult. It used to be damage races, okay? You used to be able to try and get in there and do as much damage as possible, beat the match, be done. Pretty straightforward. Nowadays, that's not the case because the challenges, or the enemies, have a lot more HP, they have a lot more defense, they do different kinds of attacks, different kinds of strategies, things like this. And so what you find yourself needing much more of is survivability. You need to be able to do the damage, but you need the survivability to take those hits, but also for a sustained battle. There are plenty of these matches in Fateboard where you can go into it and you can be locked in, committed to a battle for 10 minutes easily. Just one battle. And that's just because you're trying to work through the enemy. Sometimes the enemy's healing itself, sometimes the enemy's putting up a barrier, sometimes the enemy's blinding you, sometimes the enemy's doing all these things, and you need to be able to take the hits and survive those hits, but you also need to be able to pick your team back up again. Well, Yuri, here's what she brings. She doesn't bring the healing part, but she brings the survivability part to your team, and she brings it to the whole team. And she's also offering any number of any other utilities that you need. She can act as your healer if you give her the right weapon. She can act as a DPS if you give her a decent weapon. Not really a good DPS in PvE, but in PvP, she can act as a pretty darn good DPS. And so on and so forth. So really, what this unit does is it opens up possibilities. Now, there's other units that have come around where we initially looked at them and we kind of looked at them and said, well, this is a good unit, but what use are they going to have? And then a few months down the road, we see some changes to the game and things like this. This actually happened sort of with, what was it, our Priet, our newest Priet. That was Shadowbound Priet. Shadowbound Priet kind of came out of nowhere. And then the Final Fantasy XIV limited arena match happened, and we started to see just how good Shadowbound Priet was. She was very powerful, still is very powerful, because she has all of these things lined up in her passives, good damage, a bunch of good other things going for her, and we started to see just how powerful she was. I think that we haven't seen the extent of what Summer Yuri is going to do for us. And this is why I keep saying, if you don't have her, get her. Period. End of story. That is the review. Get her. She is an amazing unit, and she is going to be in people's parties for forever. She's basically, she's a giant power creep over Celebratory Demos. Celebratory Demos didn't have nearly the same utility that this character has. The reason why is because everything was tied into his character skill, which was a gauge A. It took a long time to recharge. It was usable at the start of battle, but once you used it, it was gone for a chunk of the battle. And so you couldn't use it when you needed it for maybe some other incoming attacks and things like that. We thought when Celebratory Demos came out that he was going to be more useful than he actually ended up being in PvP or PvE, and PvP is amazing. But in PvE, we thought he was going to be more useful. He ended up not really being as useful because of the limitations placed on him by that character skill. Yuri is a different story because a lot of what she brings to the table is tied up in her passives. And she's just, generally speaking, bringing a whole lot of survivability to your team. So that is where I'm going to leave this guy. I think that she is an absolutely amazing unit. Of course, she's a beautiful unit. It's Yuri. We all love Yuri. And Yuri, she's got a special place for me. So when Noelle comes out this coming week, we're all going to see some new power creep there as well. She is going to be an excellent unit. And I think that a lot of us are going to be chasing her for different reasons. She's not going to be the same kind of unit that Yuri is, though. Noelle will fill a niche, and she's going to be very powerful. But if you are looking at one unit right now on all of these summer banners, and you're looking for one unit to chase and one unit that's going to bring the most to your account, it is right here. It is Summer Yuri. She is the best unit of the bunch, and I say go for her. So that's going to be it. I'm going to get back to the beach now, you guys. Peace out, y'all. Have a good one. Bye.